No, let me say this, that the ANC can't bring people in that they feel like bringing in. This is another thing that Fikile doesn't seem to understand, because it says that in keeping with the spirit of an inclusive GNU, it is agreed that the composition shall be discussed and agreed amongst the existing parties whenever new parties decide to be part of the GNU. Now, agreed means by sufficient consensus. So it's not the ANC that gets to invite everybody, as Fikile seems to think. He keeps on actually making public statements about this one's joined and that one's joined, but he must read clause 24 of the document that he signed.
Hold on. So are you saying to me that even when the PA decides to join, the ANC has had to consult you and the other parties in the Government of National Unity before accepting any other party to come and join and sign that document?
Absolutely. There are three founding members of this. It is ourselves, it is the ANC, and it is the IFP. And clause 24 says, in keeping with the spirit of an inclusive GNU, it is agreed that the composition shall be discussed and agreed amongst the existing parties whenever new parties desire to be part of the Government of National Unity. That's what it says in clause 24.
So were you consulted about the PA or the PAC?
We were consulted about the PAC, but not the PA. The PAC was raised in the negotiations. The PAC, Good, and the UDM were raised during the negotiations, but definitely not the PA. But, it's not about the PA per se, it's about the principle of this issue. They haven't consulted us, and the ANC must realize that they don't take all the decisions anymore. They didn't win the election.
So what does that mean now? Will you be taking it up with the African National Congress?
I have. I've written to Fikile Mbalula. I wish we'd been on together. I would have had a little bit of a debate with him. But I wrote him a letter yesterday. I got an acknowledgement of receipt. And basically I referred to clause 24. I said, you can't do this. And then I referred to clause 19, the sufficient consensus clause. So he says he'll get back to me, but I'm still waiting for that.
Okay. So when it comes to the constitution of government then, what happens if President Cyril Ramaphosa, for instance, gives the PA one or two ministries? Is that something that would dissatisfy you as a member of this Government of National Unity, given that you were not consulted about this party joining the GNU?
We have to be consulted about it. And in fact, it's crucially important to point out the clause on the cabinet. It says, that's clause 17. Whilst recognizing the president's prerogative to appoint members of the executive, such appointments should be done in consultation with the leaders of the respective parties of the members considered for appointment. So he can't just let anybody come in. He's got to consult with us, and then he makes the appointments in consultation with the leaders of the parties who have been accepted for admission into the Government of National Unity.
How extensive do you expect those consultations to be? Should he come to the DA and say, I've got 3 ministerial positions for you, this, and then consult you? Or do you expect him to say, okay, how do I constitute this government, and you as the DA give your own thoughts on which ministry you think should go to which individual or which political party?
Well, first of all, he can't come along to say we're going to give you 3 ministries, because he has to look at clause 16. Now, clause 16 says that it's a bit of a word salad, clause 16, because it was changed so often backwards and forwards, but it currently says the Government of National Unity shall be constituted in a manner that reflects genuine inclusiveness of political parties that are party to the statement of intent and are represented in the National Assembly, broadly taking into account the number of seats parties have in the National Assembly and the need to advance the national interest. The President shall, in consulting the Executive, take into account the electoral outcomes. Now, if he takes into account the electoral outcomes of the parties that have already been admitted into the Government of National Unity by the processes that we've spoken about here, that means whatever the size of the cabinet, we're entitled to 30% of the seats, and the ANC is entitled to 60% of the seats.